On this particular segment, we have been talking about a modern day of disciplining your child. Shiro is on the other side, and I'm sure, Shiro, you have quite interesting reactions as to how parents actually do verbally discipline their children, right?
Well, I think it's more than just verbal. I think everyone who grew up in Africa has a tale of how, you know, our bodies were just massacred, our trust was tested by our parents. Over the last 24 hours, the hashtag the African Mom Challenge has been trending on Twitter. So let's take a look at some of the more interesting tweets right here. This one just says, I don't know if we could scroll down just a bit so we can see what the text of this tweet says real quick, but it says, actually up. Thank you so much. So this tweet says, biggest scammer Africa. Toto, finish eating, then I'll buy you ice cream. This is how we learned that parents lie, because that ice cream never ever came. And of course, our next tweet there, the mother will always ask you to reduce the volume so that you can read a message on her phone. I don't know how that works, whether that's physically possible, I don't know. And still on that, I'm sure we all have the parent who used to call you all day from upstairs to get her the remote that is here next to her. So, of course, that is hashtag the African Mom Challenge. So, of course, there's this one that says she beats the hell out of you 20 minutes later. Kuja useme wageni ile poem. By the way, how many of you are made to perform for visitors? I think that's how all of us entered journalism. We always had to perform for some reason. Then, of course, right here, this is my favorite thing. When your mother calls you by your full name. For instance, when Mrs. Morioki says, Angela Wajiro Morioki, that is me, leaving the country, like it is bad. It is very bad. Then, of course, when your mom is beating you, then you miss the belt and she hits herself. Then for the rest of your life, your family will be told how you tried to kill her. Then, of course, this is what happens, and this happens to all of us. Mothers, when they're dozing off and you try to change the channel, that's when she wakes up, she's like, I was watching that, and she was asleep. She's awake. Then, of course, finally, trust me, I relate to this so hard. At 15, mom is like, I don't want to see you with that boy. At 19, atibash wapi, hakuna mahali unaenda. At 13, your mom is like, mbona huna boyfriend? Where am I getting him from? Please, mom. Anyway, that's that for the African Mom Challenge. Of course, if you have other tweets that of things that you grew up experiencing, and jump into the conversation that Sarah Ndanu is having, just concerning how you discipline your children and also your own childhood experiences. Remember to use the hashtag African Mom Challenge and tweet us at K24TV. Over to you, Njanu.
Thank you so much, Shiro. I've actually gone through some of those tweets that you've just read there. I have been the person who, when my mom calls my two names, I know Kwisha Mimi.
It's
over.
It's a wrap.
Thank you so much, Shiro, for that. Mr. Gakuo and Susan, do you guys relate to this? Do you do this to your children? Because I'm sure you have done this once or twice, right?
Yes, in some way.
Which one have you done?
Especially the one of calling them to come and get me something that is near. and for me, really, why would I do that? Well, not now when they are grown up, but when they were young. Is when I'm not very sure what are they doing, and I want to, you know, disrupt whatever it is that they are doing. You know, they say moms have some other eyes here at the back.
Yes, very true.
So you can tell there's some silence that will be in the house, and you're like, they must be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So you call them to disrupt whatever it is that they are doing. Well, just playing with some psychology.
Yeah. Pastor Gakuo?
Yeah.
Amy, you've done?
Yeah, I've done quite. Like there was a time when my son, I had misplaced one of my tools in the house, and I asked him where it was, and he was silent. I mistook it for, you know, just being indisciplined.
Yeah.
And I beat him up. I really beat him up until the mother stopped me. And so later on, okay, recently, when he was a bit old, self-disclosed himself and said, I had not even taken your tool. I said, did you keep quiet? Because I didn't know what to tell you. I was a bit scared.
Wow.
And so we discussed it, and I actually had to apologize but a bit.
After many years.
After many years, yeah.
Samuel, have you been through this before with your parents?
Yeah, of course. I think the mothers of that time, they used to tell you something in the negative. You know, nipate hamjakamua ng'ombe, nipate hamjafanya hii. So kids were also so smart. They had understood their mothers. You knew that it was a warning. So you had to do exactly like that. Your mother could look at you when they are guests, and you just leave the house.
This is trouble.
You just leave the house.
Very true.
Yeah.
My mom was so good at that, by the way, and I'm sure she's watching this. She was so good at that, just giving you that eye. And hapa, leo.
Thank you, Pastor. Let me actually, on the same note, there's a tweet that I was actually going through yesterday. Maybe we can discuss that. Somebody said parents have a right to bring up their children as they see it. So why should you tell me how to discipline my child? She or he is my responsibility. Why should you tell me how to do it?
And I think I would like to answer that one.
Yeah.
Because, and again, our friend here had mentioned it, that the role of parenting is actually, parents are stewards. We are stewards for both our creator, who created the child, but then we are also stewards of the society. Because the end product of parenting is that you will usher this child to the world, especially when they become adults. And so this child has to be in a way that will be acceptable to the society that you are sending them to.
That's true.
And some of the punishment methods that parents use, or some of the parenting methods they use, definitely are molding the child in whichever manner. You will find some of the punishment methods the parents use are so harsh, so the child becomes rebellious, the child rebels against any form of authority, and the child becomes antisocial. Eventually, that is the child you will usher to the world, to the society. So telling the society not to be concerned about the way you are doing it, and then eventually you will want this society to accept your child and to work with your child. I think that is a tall order, because the two have to work together. The society is trying to tell you this is the kind of a person who will fit, who we will want to work with, and giving you some ideas of how to work with your child so that they turn out in a way that will be acceptable to the society. Otherwise, society will give you feedback. The employer will give you The employer will give you feedback. Authorities will give you feedback. Community prison will give you feedback. So let's be concerned. Let the society be concerned.
In actual sense, the Bible is very clear that we must bring up our children in 4 different ways. Jesus grew up in stature. You have to feed your child. You have to give him a roof over his head. In wisdom, that's the cognitive. The cognitive is in 2 ways. Take the child to school, teach the child how to live with other people, how to reason, how to argue his case, and even how to make decisions alone. Then from there, you teach about the social growth, how to interact with other members of the society. You take them to school. They have to interact with other members in the school. You take them to church. They have to interact with other children there. When they grow up, they go work somewhere like the way you're working here. If you are such a misfit, there's no you are supposed you will be able to fit in this place. And so as a parent, you must teach your child, and the 4th one should be the spiritual growth. You must teach them about God. It's your role. Deuteronomy 6, 4, 5, and 6. The laws I teach you today, impress them on your hearts. Teach them to your children when they are lying down, walking on the Lord. That is social. When they are sitting at home, that is the values at home. And even when, in all different aspects of life. And so, as you bring up this child, it's not only your child. It's only your child when the child is young. When they grow old, you kind of give them to the world. And like Susan is saying, you'll be given a feedback. When your child is going to jail, you have been given a feedback. When your child is being arrested, is being stoned out in the streets, the society is giving you a feedback. You give us a social misfit. When your child is doing well in life, like yourself, when you are a K24 presenter, the society is telling your mother, you brought up a good girl. She fits in this kind of a light. When you are a successful person in the entrepreneurial world, the society is telling back is telling the parent that you brought up a physically cognitive young person.
It's really good that you brought up that aspect, because someone tweeted yesterday and says, my religion requires me to use corporal punishment. Wouldn't it be discrimination to stop me from using it? And I think we were actually talking about, you know, caning your child. Yeah. So the religion, I don't know which one this is, but he says that religion does allow that. So don't tell me to use any other kind of disciplining when it comes to my child.
The religion does not operate in a vacuum. It operates in a society. We have a context.
Yeah.
Even the Bible, when it was written in a context. Those people who have been told, spare the rod, spare the child, were in their own context. And the best way to interpret the word of God is to go back to that context. Then get the lesson for that context. Apply it to today's context. That way you get the truth. You get the practical bit. You must apply it. And so when you're talking about disciplining your child, you're not only saying that you should care. I say there's the issue of friendship, the issue of inculcating values. There are quite a number of issues that are involved, other than just caning. Caning is just a by the way. And then we said even caning should be the extreme case, whereby you have told and told and told. And even that time when you have told and told and told, and you feel that the child is not really embracing what you're saying, we have even other options like taking them for counseling.
Exactly, yeah.
And the counsel will be able now to establish what is wrong. Is it the family? Is it the child or the family? Could be you also the problem with that family.
All right.
And so when the counselor now now calls the family for counseling, we may be able to sort out your case.
Exactly. So does the wrong determine the kind of discipline that you're going to give to this child? And if yes, how? Samuel?
So I think I'm lagging behind. There's some a point I was to say about the mobile phones and the gadgets and all those kind of addictions. I know it's in my work I come across that like every day, especially the teens. They would want to tell the parents, find a way of making your children responsible. That even when you leave them in the house with the mobile phone or with the TV or even alone, you are not worried what they are doing. That's the value of responsibility is very, very key. But again, as a parent, you cannot tell me you are leaving the child in the house for 12 hours, no work. The house girl is doing the washing of the clothes, the utensils, the house, everything. Your girl or your boy is just there. Do you want them to sleep the whole day? If they finish the homework, what are they supposed to do? The other tweet about I'm supposed to bring the child in my own way.
Can I please just go back to that before you go to the next tweet? So the big question is, at what age is it appropriate for you as a parent to introduce these gadgets to your children?
Okay, it's not a matter of age.
Okay.
Even some of us who are above that, even these parents, some of us are very addicted to the mobile phone. Others even when they are driving. Others even in the house, as you tell the kids to stop using it, you are here. Actually, you are joining your wife in bed very late in the night when you are still on the phone. So these children, who are they learning from? So it's not about the age. You may manage to buy it yourself. It's about responsibility, even me. Like, can I go somewhere and not use it? Do I have to use my phone during the meetings? That's why I feel the issue now of how the parent should bring up the child, I say there's no parenting manual. So that parent was right. Bring your child the way you find it fit. Because if we had a chemistry equation for parenting, we, the society, we are just catalysts. But the reactants, it's the parent. Who are we going to question? It's the parent. When these children go wherever and they get the feedback he was talking about, where are they going to go back? Who are they going to be taken back to? It is the parent. So I believe there's a lot of truth in that. Bring your child the way you feel like. If it's about religion, we talked about values. And all this discussion, whoever is viewing us should think about values, values, values. It has come from every mouth here. We have social values. They can be learned only in the society. We have family values. They can only be learned in the family. We have national values. The child must learn about the nation. We have religious values. If a Muslim and a Christian come here, there are things one will do and the other one will not do because of the religion. So I believe parenting is not something where we can write 10 rules of parenting. You may apply all of them, but none of them will work. So you need to understand your child and know what do they require. There are some children who can only be corrected through corporal. There are others who can be corrected through just talking. Others through just, sometimes pretending as a fool. And they keep them wondering. What does my mother or my father think about myself? But mostly is inculcating values. Like even you see your daughter, your son has a mobile phone. You don't know who bought for them. You never ask. You know, even when you're giving them pocket money, do you ask yourself, what is it for? Can you equate it to something? When they come for holiday, you give them 2,000. They are eating everything in school. They are having everything there. Fare is 200 back home. Did you ask yourself where the 1,800 went? If you don't, then that's a question. So parenting is something so versatile.
So according to you, there's no manual to it. You just...
There isn't. You understand your child from the time Susan said,
Yeah.
as early as it may be.
Exactly, all right.
Very, very early. Because in the formative ages, that's primary school mostly, that's where most of these values come in. That's where you find if a child was not good in primary school, when they are in Form 1, Form 2, they become disastrous. They become chaotic. Because already now they are growing the seed that was planted in them.
No, actually the problem here comes in because if you go to the rural secondary school, they kind of have this notion that Nairobi kids are spoiled from the word go.
Exactly.
Why? Because parents are buying their love from their children.
Exactly.
So instead of spending quality time with your child, you come and give your child 5,000, tell them to go out and enjoy themselves, and you think you are becoming a good parent. So there's no parent by remote control. Parenting is by being involved in your own child. You have to work on day-to-day basis. Like, for example, you're talking about giving pocket money. You don't give your child pocket money unless they learn how to budget. They must budget for that money. Sit down and tell me, what are you going to do with this money? You want 1,000 shillings? For what? Sit down, make a list, tell me, 100 is for fare, 100 is for fare from, this other 500 will be for my bread and whatever else I may need to buy at school. I also need maybe like 200 for emergency. So now, by the time you are giving, you know what that money is for. Do you know what you are doing? You are training your child on how to spend money. When they grow up, they are going to become accountable to themselves. They are going to make budgets. But they'll just dish out money and just give without knowing what it is for. Then you don't also require accountability for the same amount of money.
Exactly.
Then you are teaching your child to be careless with money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And
as you said,
for
it's
sure
like
they are going to be.
you're trying to buy the love.
You are trying to buy the love from your children, which
very
is not for sale.
Yeah.
It's actually relational. I don't know, Susan can say more about that.
Yeah. Susan.
No, in fact, it is true. But even before I talk about that, I wanted to bring in a professional outlook, and especially in terms of, you know, can we teach parents how to parent? And several theorists have done a lot of research and a lot of work. And they have come up with maybe not really manual, but some basics. Some basics. Like they have done research on how the child grows. We even have one of them. He's called Lawrence Kohlberg. And for him, he was trying to find out how does the moral development take place. And it was interesting because between year 1 and year 9, children actually learn what is right and what is wrong through punishment and reward.
Exactly, very true.
Through punishment and reward. So what are we saying? If you don't set rules that need to be followed and then punish when they are not followed, then you are leaving your child in an area where they don't know what is right, what is wrong. If you do not affirm them and tell them that is what is right and you've done it well, then you affirm them, praise them, do whatever it is that you need to do, they will never internalize any rules. They will never internalize any standards. Maybe the caution here, these rules that you are setting are the rules that now should be based on your values. And where do you get your values as a parent? From the society. The society sets the norms. The society tells you, you know, and they will stigmatize you, for example, if you do something that is outrightly wrong. So I think all these have to work together, hand in hand together. But the key person is still the parent.
Yeah, the parent.
And I like the way you said that when this child is not accepted into the society, they'll be brought back to the parent. Let me tell you, there is nothing that can be so painful for a parent. In fact, the Bible says that a wise child makes the father happy, but a foolish one the mother is always in tears,
Exactly,
you know,
very true.
because what are we saying? We have children who are terrorizing their parents.
Exactly. Oh, yes.
They are really
And
terrorizing
even
them.
fighting the parents, you know.
Yeah.
And they're exchanging words verbally. It's just so bad.
We even have some who are taking pangas,
Wow.
pushing their parents out of the house
Yeah.
so that they live in it. And sometimes I look at some of those things and I say, what is wrong with this parent?
Yeah.
Where have they been? What
Yeah.
parenting have they
Yeah.
been doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you end up being the one to receive. You are on the
Exactly, yeah.
receiving end.
Yeah.
So parents cannot...
Actually, a colleague of mine
Yeah.
summarized it too. If you don't make the child cry when they are young, as they grow up, they will make you cry when you are old.
When you're older, yeah. Yeah.
You actually
Very
cry
true.
over them.
Yeah.
Because you'll be seeing how the kind of mistakes they're committing, and realize that you actually never taught them, then you'll be mourning over their own lives. So it's either you teach them, and then you'll be happy all the way, or you abscond your responsibility,
And
and
you're
then
going to be-
you cry
Exactly.
throughout your old age.
Yeah. And
That's
Susan
important.
has just brought out something that is very, very important. And you say that society somehow shapes and determines and dictates the values.
Yeah.
So is it okay for my neighbor, for my friend, or my brother, my sister to discipline my child?
Communal parenting.
It's actually called communal parenting. And when we were growing up, that was the norm. It was the norm. You would not just go doing whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
We were taught values even as basic as respect. So if we are playing ball here and we see my mom's friend
Yeah.
coming this way,
Yeah.
we will stop playing ball. We will create the way
Exactly.
they pass,
They
and then
pass.
we continue.
Yeah.
But in the present society, oh my goodness, try that. Your neighbor, they will
They
come
will
and
actually come
ask
for you. Okay.
what is it?
Okay.
And on that note, because we are again saying that all these partners have to work hand in hand. And we are saying that even the school is a part of the discipline agent
Yeah.
towards the child.
Yeah.
You will realize that parents are not doing quality parenting. They are not doing quality discipline. And I'm sure I'm using that
Yeah.
loosely. And they are leaving this responsibility to the school. But then what are they doing? They are not giving the school the necessary mandate.
Okay, yeah. Because of time, I have like 1 minute left, and I'd like to
I
hear your
tell you.
reaction on something that has been trending on social media, and we've also been talking about it here on Alpha Jiri. And last week, there was a student who stole bread in school, yeah? So the punishment was that the parent had to buy 1,000 loaves of bread and take it to school. Now, a loaf of bread is 50 bob, so that means the parent was going to spend how much? 50,000.
50,000.
Yeah. Do you think that that was the right punishment? And do you think that this child is going to learn anything from that kind of punishment?
On one hand,
Very briefly.
on
30
one
seconds.
hand,
Yes.
it's a feedback from the society that you have not inculcated the right values in your child.
Okay.
However, punishing the parent does not change the child.
Yes.
What changes the child is when you deal with the child per se
All right.
and correct the person.
Thank you very much. Susan?
I don't know if I'm able to say that very quickly because
Very
I
quickly,
wanted
please.
to say forms
Very,
of
very
punishment.
quickly. I have 30 seconds.
I
to
wanted to say forms of punishment. Corporal being the last one. But you can give timeout, and the timeout, it's the child to reflect.
Exactly.
And sometimes even write what they are reflecting
Yeah.
upon what they did and what they need to do.
Yeah.
But you can also withdraw benefits. Excellent. So long as we have agreed which benefit we are withdrawing, and now we need to withdraw
All right.
it. But buying 1,000 loaves, again, I think it's extreme.
All right.
It's now authoritarian.
Okay. Samuel, 20
Yes.
seconds, please.
Yeah, for me, I think it depends on who is looking at it. When you're in the school setup, because of the uniformity, the punishment is not mostly to the students
Exactly.
or to the parent, it's for preventive, so that other students can see and so that tomorrow they don't do it.
All right.
The same way they can be told, come with maybe barbed wire,
Yeah.
something like that. It's not really to punish that student, it's
You're
to
punishing the
prevent
parent.
the
Right.
others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Time is up. It's like 50 minutes just gone like that. I know we have a lot to talk about, but we shall do this next time. Thank you so much for joining me on this conversation. And thank you to you back at home for being engaging, for reaching us out on our social media platforms. Remember, this segment is over, but you can still continue with this conversation on social media platforms. Our Facebook page is K24TV. Instagram and Twitter is at K24TV. Tweet us, let us know your views on modern day parenting.
And guys, what we've been talking about, the loaves, 1,000 loaves of bread, 50,000 shillings.
Yes.
They had their opinion.
Yeah, those are some pretty sound opinions. But I think every one of us, no matter how, you know, he said something that, you know, it's fine if your child hates you for a while. But once you grow up, you realize why the parent was. Because I remember when I was a teenager, my goodness, I thought my mother hated me. But now I see what she was doing.
Me too.
Yes.
All I'm saying is they were talking about punishments, and all I remember, not even my parents' punishment.
Yeah.
I went to secondary school, and we needed to run everywhere you're going when the bell rings. I wasn't running. The prefect told me to take a shoe, the most stinky shoe in that school,
and
call my parents, and tell them why I wasn't running to where I was going. So let us run out of here. We are done.
All right. Thank you so much. We shall see you
Have a
again
good one.
tomorrow on Hangout Friday. Bye-bye.